Good afternoon, hello. My name is Daniel. This is the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. I've come down to see Ruth today. Ruth runs a company called Belper Life Fitness Physiotherapy. That's right, isn't it?
That's right.
Ruth's been a long-standing supporter of me, mostly making me take my top off and telling me I'm stood wrong and fix my helmets, basically. And today's just another episode of that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I said he's only allowed in if he listens this time.
Exactly. Got it. Fine. So thank you very much, Ruth.
All right.
So I've recently been for an MRI scan on my knee. I've had a knee injury now for a few months. I had a hip injury a few months ago, which I think is there or thereabouts. And I've also recently picked up a wrist injury.
Oh, so yeah, we've had a really long list to get through. It's really late on a Friday afternoon now.
Sorry about that. Right, so had an MRI scan. Ruth's going to talk us through that. We've been through an assessment today as well. Ruth's going to give a bit of an overview as to what she's found. Obviously, this is only a few minutes of a long appointment.
Yeah, it's very long.
So bear that in mind. And then we're going to talk about what the plan is going forward, because I have, I'm going to bleep this when I'm on the video, but I have weeks. So is that possible, do you think?
Weeks. We'll give it a go.
Okay,
we'll give it a go. I'm never one to give up. Never give up.
Believe.
We'll give it a go.
So Ruth, I had an MRI scan on my knee. Yes. I read it, but it made no sense to me. What does it mean?
Okay. So your MRI, it wasn't bad. So we didn't have a big long list, which is really positive. Mm-hmm. So what it did show was some wear and tear, some roughening of the underside of your kneecap.
This guy looks
on that
knackered.
side. No, what did it say? Mild.
Yes.
Mild. So basically the kneecap has a layer of cartilage, which if it doesn't track very well within the space, within the back of the femur, it can roughen. So when I looked at Dan's knee today, it is very rotated and it gets pulled sort of laterally. So there is an imbalance, which is often why these kneecap things happen. So we get very overactive sort of outer quads. Mechanically, Dan's hip moves into external rotation as well, which would add to the problem. On the MRI, there was also inflammation of the medial ligament of the knee, which again would fit with the mechanics, with the rotation, the fact that that's getting loaded and put under a stretch. So the top insertion of that ligament actually showed inflammation on the MRI. Although today, not particularly sore to press on, but obviously something, there's a pathology there, but not too tender today. So basically we talked through kind of what the findings were for that, what to do for those reasons, to correct the alignment, really trying to get a bit more balance. I just assessed Dan's core stability. I'm going to give it a massive thumbs down.
You told me it was okay.
Thumbs down.
You said level 1 actually.
Level 1, barely level 1, didn't breathe. Right, so we've got a lot of work to do. So I was explaining to Dan the relevance of having a stable centre of gravity, how that affects our pelvis, how then that stability there transfers down into the legs and the power off the floor and your power through your bike, and so it might be something that's not entirely fun, but I'm hoping it's going to be a bit challenging. You
were saying things to me that speak my language, so I'd never normally done that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I almost don't believe it. I believe it, but I just can't buy into it.
I think I've tried to tell you a little bit about Pilates before, and I think it's been a bit oh no, I don't really know.
I haven't got a mat.
Don't really know about that. Haven't got a mat. No, I sold it with my squat rack.
But you got, but you got me doing one thing, and you're well, that's what I'm struggling to do it, and you're well, that's what you do when you're running.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I've showed a little bit of why that's important, and hopefully then you will do it because you can see the relevance. And I think it is important to understand what the injuries are, the relevance of the pain, and the reason why you're doing your rehab, otherwise you don't really want to do it. So we talked a bit about trying to get a fitness base or not lose it, because if you keep fitter when you're injured, you get better quicker. When you go back to doing what you want to do, you won't get another injury because you've lost your fitness. Mm-hmm. So we've tried to get a bit of just a steady cardio base, doing something that isn't going to aggravate. So we kind of talked about doing a bit of swimming, a bit of non-weight bearing cardio on the legs, so something like a cross trainer. Because of the knee, I kind of really want to not do rowers and obviously bike. We're just going to stay away from things, just do something a bit more gentle, just to get the heart and lungs going, and keep you going mentally as well, because that's something that's been quite tough, hasn't it? So yeah, so cardio base every other day, some core stability and some rehab stuff, which I'm going to send Dan to do. So does that cover everything?
I think it just about does. It amazed me. I shouldn't be amazed, but like you've looked at my knee and you can see, oh, immediately that is different to that, and I look at it and I'm like, well, they look the same to me. So something as simple as that then helps you identify a cause. So I think I'm more mentally able to process it now and able to like focus on and believe in the problem. Something else a change I'm making is when this all started was when I changed jobs at the end of last year, and I work at home a lot more than I did before. And when I worked in an office, you're out and up and about a bit more. I'm spending a lot more time sat down, so I've changed my desk arrangement at home. I'm going to be stood up a fair bit more. I have one of those bougie walk pad things. I'm not going to walk 500 miles every day, but I just think trying to get into better habits with that could help just alleviate that. It's by no means therefore I won't need to do any of this work, but I'm just hoping that making every change that I can will mean that I can get back to it as soon as possible.
100%. And I think as well, like sitting postures aren't good for, just adding to like shortening through the hip flexors and having stiffness through the hip and the lower back. So I think, if you can avoid that, that'd be really positive. And we also did a bit of a chat about the other things that help injuries recover. So things that probably people don't often think about. So what you eat to recover your tissues, because I was like, Dan, like everything's just breaking down. Things aren't healing. Like, are you getting the nutrition right? So that's not my my ballpark, but it's something that needs to maybe be looked at. Rest and sleep. Sleep's massive in terms of like when we heal, so just making sure that you get a lot of sleep. Go to bed early. What else did we talk about? Oh, and then just training load, which we've probably discussed loads. Getting that right, and that's just trying to find a starting point that isn't too high, but is challenging enough to get some progress.
Okay, so in terms of like timescale for how many weeks am I going to have to do this for? Is it too early to tell? Is it a case of see how we are in a week or two? Or?
I think the inflammation that was probably shown on there, that can settle down in a few weeks if you don't aggravate it. That's not going to be a big deal. The patella tracking stuff, that's just going to be a gradual process. So, when we try and change our strength, you look at about 6 weeks to get like a minor change in strength and control. Core stuff, again, we're looking at like a 6-week base, and then we're going to build on it from there. So I think that's like a long process, but it doesn't mean you have to be symptomatic in that process. Right,
okay. So we're looking at least a few weeks off the bike is what you're saying?
Potentially, potentially. We'll play it by ear.
We will, all right. I'm almost at the point now where I think, it doesn't matter, I just need to get healthy. And if it takes 2 weeks or 6 weeks or 10 weeks, it doesn't matter. I just need to do everything I can to get back there. So
it's just going to try and keep active, try and keep fit, and be positive in what you're doing now, and don't think beyond like the next week. Got it. Okay, Ruth, thank you very much. No
Ruth
problem at all.
Does have a team of physios that work for her. You do Pilates, you do Pilates. All sorts of different classes.
Yeah, we do rehabilitation classes. We do just general all-level mat work. We've got a reformer studio, and we see everybody for all injuries, whether it's sports, whether it's slip discs, knee replacements, anything. We're here if you need us.
Yeah, and Ruth's just been saying she's got far too much free time at the minute, so her website is in the description down below. You've got good availability still, haven't you?
The others have availability.
Okay, there you go. So if you're in the Belper or Derbyshire area and you've got any issue, please do consider using Ruth.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
See you later.